Just do it.
Just go?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Oh, now there's a motorcycle. Hi guys, so as requested, Kurt is going to go into more detail about movies and music and all that stuff, but today we are going to... Don't be creepy. But today we're going to focus on music, and he is going to take the reins. I'm going to be here for moral support and witty commentary. Mostly just moral support. So, take it away.
Hi guys. So I've been asked to, well, also I asked her.
You asked me, yeah.
To do a short videos about introducing Korean things. One of the things that I was thinking about is music, and I honestly not a big fan of Korean music in a lot of sense, but still there are a lot of Korean artists that I find it very interesting from the olden times, to be fair. I'm not interested in K-pop idols, just letting you know. Today I'm gonna try to introduce those artists that I not necessarily like, but really interesting. I find it very interesting, and I'll give you some glimpse of how Koreans think about it.
Yay.
Let's get started. So I picked up 4 different artists that I find it quite interesting. First one I want to go through is Seotaiji.
Out of the list, Seotaiji is probably the only one you guys are gonna know, unless you're Korean.
Well, because even Koreans in my age would never know other than Seotaiji, I'm sure. I picked up Seotaiji for 2 reasons. One is that there's a part that people doesn't really understand about Seotaiji, even if you know Seotaiji from songs. And in fact,
they actually, did you know that BTS like collaborated with him?
Yeah,
okay.
But Seotaiji is much more complex than that.
He's a super weird dude.
I would claim that he's the one. He is a guy who has most wide range of varieties of music. He always been the first one to try something in Korea in a lot of sense, even including K-pop. So one thing that you guys need to know about him is that he was in a rock band before he debuted as
like a metal band.
Yeah, it was a metal band. It was called Shinawi, and it was one of the most important Korean rock band also. He dropped out of high school, and then he went to a Shinawi as a bassist, wearing a leather jacket, have a really long hair. You can probably look up the
typical
photos.
metalhead.
And suddenly he dropped out from the band, and he started doing a pop dance thing, which was quite a thing in America, but nobody tried it in Korea.
Mainstream wise, there was like underground.
Yeah. So he debuted with a song called 난 알아요, I Know. So I'm sure everybody knows about this, but the one thing you guys never heard of is that how different it was when it came out in Korea. Nobody really understood it at all. But there's a video clip that you're gonna put, I hope.
I will edit.
So there's a Korean TV program in 1992, which like brings up the new artists and let them sing in a TV program. Mostly a famous artist at the time, like judge them. Like he did like dance and rap and things, and then the judges were very confused actually. All the judges were like, what the hell is he trying to do? And there's one guy who's the name Chun Young-rok, is also quite a famous Korean rock star at the time, and he actually made a comment like, I know Seotaiji from his rock band, and now he's like wearing really clean look with a short hair and doing dance and rap. It's quite confusing to me. The MC goes like, so what do you think about the music? And then he said like, I don't think I'm not, it's up to me to judge it, like it's up to public, like
because it was so new.
Yeah, and the music went off, and it's just crazy. Like people who spent their teenage time in the early 90s remember Seotaiji as a god. It was just dominated the whole culture, and it went on for 2 to 3 years. And then even while that, actually he changed a lot. He started as like a pop dance thing, but he also started to move on to different cultures. Well, one of the most important thing would be like hip hop. He was the first guy who introduced hip hop culture, wearing like fashions and wearing really baggy pants and doing braids and things. Yeah, he was the first one to do that in Korea too. I think the most important cultural impact he made in the Korean music was that he did a Korean rap.
He rapped in Korean.
For the people who doesn't speak English as a mother tongue, like doing rap in different language sounds very weird if you first hear it. It takes a really long time to like actually adapt to it. I think the famous piece would be Come Back Home. I really like this song also. And then he retired and he came back, and then
but how they retired, they were like at their peak.
Oh yeah,
and they were just like, we're done.
This is very interesting. like they knew that people would go crazy, so what they did was actually doing the last concert, and they took a helicopter and went to airport straight, so that nobody can follow them. And then from airport they just all went to Guam.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard about that. Yeah, they they wanted to like avoid all the attention or whatever because he was at
They literally like waited until they were at like the highest point.
Yeah.
It would be as if like right now Ariana Grande was just like, I'm outie.
Yeah, but like
I'm
the
done.
thing is that he rejected any like press conference or whatsoever. They framed it as retiring. It wasn't like we're gonna take a break. They just
Yeah,
got
they were like,
tired,
"We're done."
and then they took a helicopter and to the
And it
airport
was-
to Guam.
And it was Seotaiji who wanted it. It wasn't the other two members.
Yeah, yeah.
But Seotaiji was really like the brain of the whole thing.
Because
So
he was a guy who wrote the song and made the song. He was a guy
the other
who
two were kind of just like
was like they also knew that
Yeah,
we're
they
not
knew
a
that.
main piece because Seotaiji wrote the whole song. Anyway, that's how he retired. But different story.
sorry.
And then 8 years later, he came back to Korea and re-debuted with a totally different set of music. This is part that a lot of people doesn't know, and this is part that I know him first time. And he came up with the very rock thing. He even did a Limp Bizkit kind of rap metal.
Rappy.
Yeah, metal things. And then he really kept changed until now. He's kept changing. He actually put the Korean traditional instrument as a part of a rock song. One other thing that I want to point out about him is that he's a perfectionist. He is really famous with pushing everybody to the limit. One day he was recording the song for a whole album. He had the drummer, but he didn't like them because he wasn't on a beat. So he asked him to like make every recording of every notes that you can play on a drum, and then he just played those drums
He
in the
like
computer.
sliced it.
Yeah, he
on the
sliced
computer
every single beat for a whole song, like thousands of beats. Played
before
it.
GarageBand existed.
Yeah. So one other thing that he's really mystical in a lot of things. For a long time, no press ever be able to interview in public, like in private. That sort of guy. Definitely recommend you guys to a variety of his music. I personally like the one that he did with the orchestra. He came up with the rock music album, and he did a collaboration with the Philharmonic Orchestra. Really good. I really recommend it. He really showed how you can mix those two different genres in a very harmonic way. Next up, so this is the one that you guys never heard of, I'm sure. His name Dae Soo. He debuted in 1972, and his life story is very interesting. I'll just very briefly pick it up. His father was a nuclear physicist in the 1920s when the Korea was under occupation of Japanese. So it was a crazy thing at the time. He studied photography, I think, at New Hampshire University, and he lived in New York for a long time. He's a New Yorker. But I'm not going to go into detail. For music, he is a folk song musician. He came with the first album in the 1972. In the 70s, folk music was a big thing in Korea. Deformed hippie movement. Koreans took hippie movement as only certain aspects of it, like fighting with the power. But the reason why he was very different was he was the first one to wrote his song all the way in a Korean lyric. At the time, a lot of folk musicians actually adapted American folk songs and used their melodies to just rewrite.
Like Bob Dylan.
Yeah, the first song I really hope you guys listen to is 물 좀 주소, Give Me a Water.
물 좀 주소 물 좀 주소 목마르요 물 좀 주소.
The reason why this song was very striking at the time is the lyrics were just simply give me a water, I'm really thirsty, I really hope that the water comes. The song actually got prohibited, censored by government. At the time in the 70s, Korea was under military dictatorship, so every song that ever been produced has to go under a censorship. Then you can play on the radio or television. And this song got prohibited because they thought that this song actually makes people think about water torture.
Like waterboarding.
Yeah, because at the time water torturing was so common thing. If you don't see some reporter disappear and they got water torture. So even though the whole song is about
I'm thirsty.
Yeah, I'm thirsty. And the song got prohibited by that. But actually, if you look back and now you listen to it, you could really hear this, very deep desire of something. Whether it's water or freedom. You can hear that. Second song I want to recommend is it's in the same album. It's called 행복의 나라로. Let's go to happy country, happy place. The song is very interesting because he's been retired for a long time. He recently publicly said, I'm not going to be able to sing music ever again because my voice is going away. So he did a last recording with this song.
장막을 그들아 나의 좁은 눈으로 이 세상을 더 보자 장막을 그들아 나의 좁은 눈으로 이 세상을 보자.
But it got censored.
Yeah, it also got censored in 1972 because saying like, why do you want to go to happy place? Are you saying we're not in a happy place now?
Place.
Seriously, I'm not kidding about this. There are so many songs that censored with this kind of reasons. Like, why do you want to? Yeah, never mind.
Korea.
Yeah. Third stop.
Next.
This artist, the one that I really like musically. I personally listen to her all the time. Her name is Sangeun. She's very interesting in a two way. First one is that she debuted as an idol.
Like the first real generation of idols.
Yeah, we never,
like the 80s.
at the time we never really used the term idol because it wasn't a thing. But she was the first one who debuted as a very like well-made and manufactured fashion. Like the entertainment company would incorporate her to become certain image, and then she just came out. So when she debuted in 1988, she came out with a song, it was Damdadi, which is just pop that song. Any Korean people, even before I heard of her name, I knew this song. And then she made a very successful debut, and she was very popular for a while. And then after like several years, she actually retired, and she went to Japan, claiming she wanted to study more of music. This is the part she became very interesting, and she suddenly changed her music into very different way. She really made a very experimental, very unique music. She came back to Korea and she released an album called 공무 도화가, which is also considered as one of the best album ever in Korean music history. One thing is that the 공무 도화가 is actually really old song. It's the oldest song we know that written by Koreans from 2,500 years ago.
So basically the idea behind the story, it's not confirmed, but basically there was this crazy man who wanted to cross a river just because he was nuts, and he drowned, and so this is kind of the response of his wife singing like, don't cross the river. But because it's written in Chinese characters, we actually don't know how it's pronounced in Korean, and we don't know the melody either because they didn't write the music.
Yeah.
So she ended up like naming her album this, and the music sounds like older Korean.
Very Asian Korean, even though we never know what kind of
so
instrument
it's
that
like
they have.
her interpretation of a 2,500-year-old song, which is really interesting.
The way she changed over time from idol to a actual musician that makes crazy album. Yeah. Last stop, this is the one that Cari really wanted to put in.
Yeah.
It's a rock band called Ullim. Cari recognized this band because Kim Chang-won, put the photo here.
The photo here.
Yeah, and he was a leader of this band actually.
So like all you guys probably know him from dramas or TV shows because his face is everywhere.
But he debuted as a rock band leader at the time.
With his brothers.
They first debuted in 1977, but they worked as a band for a long time before that. The one thing I could point out about this band is that aside everything, they were very different. They were the first band that made really unique Korean way of rock. Like there were a lot of other rock bands at the time, but like nobody made music and lyrics like this. But like their lyrics are very unique. Actually, the lyrics sounds like very childish sometimes, and sometimes very sad.
Kind of like the Smiths. Like they sound really like happy and kind of Beach Boys-y, but then like we just talked about, there's this one song called Ani Bolsa.
Yeah, this is a debut song.
I thought it was just like this is like a nice little bop, and then he's like, it's about suicide.
Changwon actually wrote this song as if I was captured by the idea of suicide, and then I was trying to like think of how to suicide, and then he suddenly realized it's already
like the sun already came up.
Sun already came up.
So he's like, oh, never mind.
Never mind. So he wrote in a song like Ani Bolsa.
So it's very like Morrissey, like really dark lyrics, but it's like
and
so pop.
Every Korean people knows this song.
아니 벌써 해가 솟았나.
Second song I put in was Guitar Otobai Taja, Let's Ride a Motorbicycle with Guitar. You can just tell that by the song. Whole lyrics doesn't make sense at all. Then one of his brother who used to play drum, died with a tragic accident in Canada in 2008. So they declared they're not going to play anymore as a band. But Kim Chang-won also still has his own band making his more music. It's also very interesting actually. I sometimes listen to it. I think the song was Spaghetti와 모자, Spaghetti and Hat. And it's a really good song.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
hope you'll find it very interesting.
We actually we keep looking down at this because we have our list right here, but he has like a crazy list of a bunch of other musicians and stuff to talk about. So if this was interesting to you, we
Well,
can go ahead, sir.
I really want to do like very modern Korean bands actually.
Modern, yeah.
There's Neighborgwan or like
I like
even
them. I like them a lot.
or Lovely actually. Those are the ones that I really listen to, and the ones that I introduced are not really my favorites. But
But they're interesting. So if you want more content like that, let us know down below. Should we start a different channel? Should we start a podcast? I don't know. So yeah, he has a lot more for like movies and stuff too, and it doesn't even need to be just Korean stuff. I just figured
like I told you, I honestly don't really watch Korean movies.
yeah, like for Korean movies, I probably have watched more than he has.
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk about things that
And my
aren't.
favorite band, Radiohead, is actually
Yeah,
fine.
his favorite band is Radiohead. He doesn't even listen to Korean music. Yeah, just let us know down below what you think. And sorry it was a little bit noisy, but yeah, we hope that you enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.